What's going on, man? Welcome to the Yeah Podcast. I am your host, Mouthpiece, with the Yeah, you heard me. And welcome to today's show, man. Happy Saturday, everybody, man. Today we gotta talk, y'all. We gotta talk. Cause y'all, it's continually being brought to my attention that everybody is coming out and calling Gucci a rat for this situation. And if you've watched my channel at all and seen anything about this Gucci Man and Pooh situation, you know that I'm on Gucci's side when it comes to this situation. I believe that when you sign a contract, that takes all of the street out of the deal. And it actually gives that person legal right to pursue legal action against you if you default on the contract, which is what Pooh Shiesty did by trying to rob Gucci to get out the contract. So everybody knows I'm kind of on Gucci's side in this situation. Now, people call him a rat. The majority of people on the internet are calling him a rat, and that's understandable to me. But I just personally don't feel that way. Now, in light of that, I want to introduce y'all to something else that happened with a CEO and an artist that was not considered ratting when this happened. So today we're gonna be watching a video, and I'm gonna be reacting to this video. And I wanna see in the comments. I want y'all to get in the comments, and I want y'all to tell me if y'all feel like this is a fair comparison. Number one, and then number two, if y'all feel like this person also is a rat, if you consider Gucci a rat. So let's go, man.
While researching for this video, I found several photos of the Houston legend Jay Prince with his fingers in the shape of a gun, as if to say, bang, I got you. Unless you've been under a rock for the past 30 years, you got to know who Jay Prince is. He's a very powerful business mogul with old school street ties that can get you touch from wherever he stands. He's considered a gangster who's done enough in the public's eye to make any man respect, if not fear him. But even Jay Prince found himself in the hot seat, fucking around with a New Orleans nigga that had nothing to lose.
All right, so before we get more deep into this, I do want to say that I was a huge Rap-A-Lot fan back in the day, man. And I ain't just talking about the ghetto boys. You know what I'm saying? I was all in the Devin the Dude. I was listening to Black Monk. I was listening to A G to the Key, Meal Ticket, which is like top 5 greatest Rap-A-Lot album in my opinion ever. To be honest with you. So I was deep into the Rap-A-Lot collection, man. And of course, this guy right here, Big Mike.
Need to, take some kind of action. You know what I'm saying? This is just a beginning. It's just a beginning and a step towards the right way.
What was Big Mike and Rap-A-Lot's relationship like? A Big Mike and Jay Prince relationship like?
From what I know, it was a business relationship, and it didn't turn out nice at the end.
That's what started the rockiness in the relationship with me and Rap-A-Lot. It came to an ugly head on contractual disputes and leading into some gangster shit. And I wound up having to go to the penitentiary.
You listen to the interview with Prince. Prince trying to push it off like Mike was on Sherman, was fucked up. But that wasn't the case.
Everybody was wondering what happened to Big Mike, what happened to Big Mike, all kind of rumors going around. Man, he was on drugs, he went crazy. None of this is true. I did as much drugs as any other artist did drugs at the time.
So I think Big Mike dropped, I want to say 2 albums with Rap-A-Lot. I know Something Serious was his first album, and that bitch was a banger. If you ain't heard it, you need to go check that shit out. Remember, it's 1990s, but that bitch was a banger. And Big Mike was also introduced as a part of Ghetto Boys when Willie D left.
You feel me? Yeah. Right? None of this is true.
He really was just playing with playing with a New Orleans. You can't do that shit you was doing with Scarface and Zero, all them bullying niggas out their career, and like you did in New Orleans. New Orleans really ain't going for that.
My record company had them in faulty. They came at me faulty. But when I came back at them, how they came back at me, people go to the authorities. I wind up in the penitentiary. I'm like, all right, cool. I called that shot. Feel me? I'm gonna take my lick.
Jacking brothers up, trying to capture me.
Now let's talk about the drugs for a second, man, before we get more. Back in them days, New Orleans have always been known for heroin. Heroin was a lot of times the drug of choice for younger and older people. Houston, on the other hand, as far as we knew in Louisiana, was on like Sherm, Fry, and this is shit like weed mixed with embalming fluid and shit like that. So, I mean, I can't say that that's what Big Mike was doing or not doing, but that was the drug scene back in them days. And of course, syrup. But we would always hear about Sherm and Fry. Actually, the first time I ever went to jail in my life, it was in Houston. I sat in Houston 701 Annex for about 3 months.
This is Big Mike, the first man from New Orleans to get a nationwide rap record deal, and the only man on record who got pushed by Jay Prince and pushed back.
Even when we played cops and robbers on the block, nobody wanted to play the cop.
Michael Barnett, better known to the world as Big Mike, was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, but was raised in Houston, Texas, which gave him the best of both cities. He's a lyricist with rhymes fueled by the street life of both cities, but New Orleans is in his blood, and it came out after he was pressed by one of the industry's most feared figures, Jay.
Now, Big Mike was, like they said, from New Orleans. I think they say he moved to Houston when he was like in his teens or whatever. And he pretty much adopted mostly all Houston slang, you know what I'm saying? His music, his beats, a lot of his cadence and the way he said things were Houston related. But you could always hear that New Orleans accent in his voice, you know what I mean? Mixed with a lot of that Houston, but you could always hear that New Orleans accent in his voice. And to be honest with you, like I said, we listened to a lot of rap a lot. So we fucked with Big Mike. In Baton Rouge, we fucked with Big Mike tough.
Prince.
Bro, does Mike share any experiences with you or anything you could share about him with the Ghetto Boys?
Yeah, but I'd rather Mike tell his story, man, because Mike, we could get Mike on here. I'm going to get Mike on here so he can tell his story, you know. But
yeah, he promised me an interview about 2 years ago.
yeah, we're going to lie.
Because the MCL told a story, and he called me and said, Wayne, man, can you please take that shit down?
Yeah.
You had something to do with it.
Look, he called me to get your number.
If I had to see if I was closest to one of them, it was Big Mike. Big Mike was from New Orleans like me. He was from the Florida Project. Jay was ready to make me take Willie D's place in the Ghetto Boys.
He was like, man, you know that video, Wayne? I'm like, yeah, that's my partner. Man, call him, dog, because this we got on his story. He not telling the truth. It's bad low. He said, man, I just need to holler at him. And I think I linked y'all up. Well, I did link y'all up. And you hollered at him. But Mike good people, bro. That's a real one. And the story he told about the Ghetto Boys, to me, I feel like it's a story for him to tell because it's some real shit.
Let's start at the beginning. The New Orleans native Big Mike moved to Houston, Texas at an early age due to constant trouble being available on every corner. And Mike was no stranger to it. Some of these same street episodes and real-life encounters would show up later in his lyrics, which made him one of the greatest mental picture painters in hip-hop.
Say, man, y'all keeping up way too much traffic at the door, man. You ain't gonna be satisfied till they run up off you and everybody be locked down.
Say, food, dog, you gotta get yours your way, dog. I gotta get mine my way, dog. Let's see it. Say, dog, I gotta have it, dog.
You see, all his visuals, all his vocals was way more Texas than Louisiana, but we still fuck with him in Louisiana. Back then, New Orleans was crazy wild. That's, you know, back in the days where you hear Manny and Juvie and Terrence Williams talking about. Them was the days that he left New Orleans because it was crazy.
Early 1990s, Big Mike and 3-2 made up the group The Convicts, who at the time were unsigned members of Death Row Records, but they were close to Suge Knight and made moves with the label as if they were family. Then, in 1992, after Willie D left the Ghetto Boys, Rap-A-Lot Records owner Jay Prince thought it was a good idea to bring Mike in as the new third member, and Mike obliged.
We used to kick it on the Ave at night, coming up, trying to have the finer things in life.
When I first got over to the label, when I signed as a member of the Convicts, you know, me and Face Fit, we would spend a lot of time together. You know what I'm saying? We knew some of the same people and things like that. You know what I'm saying? We was from the same side of town and shit, you know what I mean? So we did know each other before, prior to recording that Ghetto Boys project.
Being here in Texas right now, performing motherfucking Big Mike and Paul Wall and all these, you don't understand. It's one thing to do music, it's another thing to feel the love from all the music that your environment does.
You know,
Hey, R.I.P. to Bushwick Bill, man. That was one of my favorite guys, man. That was one of my favorite guys, you hear me? R.I.P. to him. And shout out to Talk Your Talk TV, man, who did this documentary, because this is a good one, you hear me?
I wrote for Bushwick, you know, We Can't Be Stopped album. I wrote the other level of the game for Bushwick, you know what I mean? And me and Bushwick spent some time together.
Big Mike's run with the Ghetto Boys was well accepted by half of the fans, but the other half were like, who's the new guy? It wasn't until Mike's 1994 album release, titled Something Serious, that made him a household name.
Just another young nigga having things made.
Time brings change, and change comes with time.
Big Mike was the first from the NO to get a major record deal, and was the first from the city with a story on how the industry tried to play him.
That's what started the rockiness in the relationship with me and Rap-A-Lot. You know, it came to an ugly head on contractual disputes and leading into some gangster shit, and I wound up having to go to the penitentiary.
After success and a bumpy road at Rap-A-Lot Records, Big Mike started asking for money that was owed to him, but allegedly, label owner Jay Prince had other plans, which included Mike signing a new contract in order to get his earnings that was already owed. That's when things got gangster real quick.
My record company had them faulty. They came at me faulty. When they came at me faulty, I ain't go to the authorities.
The feud between Jay Prince and Big Mike was before the internet, so it didn't play out online. But Mike had told his side of what happened several times before through interviews.
Now see, y'all, I was shocked that I was unable to find that particular interview, which I think I had seen before, and several other interviews that I was looking for when he actually talked about this situation. I couldn't find them.
His story never changed. Allegedly, Jay Prince put a hit out on Mike and had his house shot up in the midst of their feud. Mike, in turn, burned down one of Rap-A-Lot's studios. The ball was now in Jay Prince's hands. But instead of keeping it street, he decided to get the law involved.
But when I came back at them, how they came back at me, people go to the authorities. I wind up in the penitentiary. I'm like, all right, cool. I called that shot. Feel me? I'm gonna take my lick.
Big Mike was arrested, charged with arson, and spent 3.5 years in prison for it. But when he got out, he'd learned there were rumors of him losing his mind, tripping on drugs, and several other things that made him look bad. So Mike started an interview campaign where he cleared his name and told his side of the story.
You know, everybody was wondering what happened to Big Mike, what happened to Big Mike, all kind of rumors going around. Man, he was on drugs, he went crazy. None of this is true. I did as much drugs as any other artist did drugs at the time. You feel me?
Yeah.
Right? None of this is true.
You listen to the interview with Prince. Prince trying to push it off like Mike was on Sherm and was fucked up. And if a did smoke Sherm, to each his own. They got who smoke crack, who make DMX smoke crack. So, I mean, your DOC, your choice of drugs, your choice of drugs really don't determine what type of person you are.
So I'm gonna stop that video right there, man. If y'all want to go check that video out, it dropped about a month ago. That video dropped about a month ago. If y'all want to go check it out, Talk Your Talk TV. If you want to go watch the whole rest of the video, but I just wanted to get to that part, because y'all, this is the same particular situation that Gucci is in. And I actually think that this might be even a worse situation than what Gucci is going through with Pooh, because of the simple fact that allegedly Jay Prince struck first. He went with the gangster shit first. And then Mike retaliated. So Mike set the studio on fire. And Rap-A-Lot pressed charges against him. And he went to jail for 3.5 years. Now, in Gucci's situation, he never got on no gangster shit with Pooh. He never sent Pooh to do no work, put in no work. He never got into no drug deals with Pooh or none of that. His relationship with Pooh was strictly business until Pooh turned it into street shit. Jay Prince, on the other hand, went to street shit. And then when a man retaliated, he had the man sent to jail. So I want y'all to get in the comment section, man, and tell me how y'all feel about this story. Especially the people who are actively calling Gucci Man a snitch. Do y'all feel like Jay Prince was a snitch for what he did in his situation? Y'all let me know in the comments, man. This is my piece with the yeah. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'm gone, man.